Welcome on into the Thursday edition of Sports Memo Today. I'm your host, Dan Alexander, and can't believe we're talking our final show of June already. And when it's the dog days of summer, hey, why not talk all baseball on the show here today? MLB free plays coming your way. We got a 4-pack of them, 2 of them coming from Matt Josephs. He's got some action for you today. And then also a future play that might make you scratch your head a little bit, but I'm always interested in hearing what a man who is on a 9-2 run in Major League Baseball has to say regarding the futures market as well. Then Nick Parsons going to bat cleanup. He's taking a look at the Angels versus White Sox today, and then he's also looking at the Red Sox taking on the Marlins. And Nick Parsons, a name that you're becoming familiar with here on Sports Memo Today. He just went 2-0 last time we talked to him. He's on a 9-1 last 4 days across all sports. 3-0 yesterday. So 2 hot guys coming on the show here today. So let's welcome in Matt Josephs. It's been a while since I've gotten to chat with my man Matty J. And Matt, you've been busy. You're doing this Gold Sheet show now. You're humming along in Major League Baseball. Plus the fact that you've already started your handicapping of college football. So ain't no rest for you. But how you been since we chatted last, man?
Doing well. Yeah, as you said, doing a lot of college football stuff and a little bit of NFL as well because, prop it up on Fridays. We've now started focusing in on the NFL. And so, yeah, a lot of stuff, player props aplenty for both sports.
And then it'll be right around the corner when Matt and I are being homers for the Philadelphia Eagles every time that he's on here. So you have that to look forward to following the end of summer. All right, Matt, let's get right into it and take a look at this Dodgers and Rockies game. You have a prop that you have for the folks. What are we looking for on the mound today?
Yeah, and it's funny because the last time I was on this show, I gave some of the same analysis I'm about to give, and sometimes you don't have to just look at the numbers. Like, there's a lot of numbers out there. We know baseball is heavily analytics based and numbers based and everything, but when you look at the starting pitcher for the Colorado Rockies, Chase Anderson, he's not very good. The Dodgers lineup, they are very good. And this is a market that's actually moved quite a bit since I put this play in. Chase Anderson over 5.5 hits allowed. You look at Chase Anderson, if I remember correctly, he was part of that 26-24-2 game between the Angels and the Rockies. And part of the reason why the Angels got the 24 runs was because Chase Anderson gave up a lot of them. I think he gave up like 3 or 4 homers in a row. It felt like everybody had a homer except for Shohei in that game. But yeah, Chase Anderson's not a good pitcher. He's in Coors Field. It's a very nice day in Colorado today. They need a little bit of length out of Chase after both of their starting pitchers have not gone as deep as they would like. And so more Chase Anderson means more potential for hits allowed. Give me the over here, 5.5. The Dodgers lineup's really good. Chase Anderson's not.
I love it. That's my favorite breakdown ever. Chase Anderson, bad. Dodgers hitters, good. Play the over 5.5. Hits allowed and grab it because it is moving because probably secret out after Chase Anderson gave up, 3 touchdowns? They decided, yeah, we probably should be betting the overs here. All right, let's take a look at one play that actually I'm intrigued to hear your breakdown on. I think probably a little less simplistic than bad versus good because you're taking a look at the Giants, who are currently sitting second in the NL West, to not make the playoffs. And this is a nice plus price. So what's the analysis on this one, Matt?
Yeah, so if you look right now, and this is kind of the time, maybe you want to wait till the All-Star break, where you kind of start looking at who's going to make the playoffs and who's not going to make the playoffs. And you look at the 6 teams that are in there right now. Atlanta's definitely making the playoffs. Arizona, Arizona may not go anywhere. It'll be interesting to see if they go during the trade deadline and add another pitcher, add another bat, whatever. I'd like to think that they're going to be there. Cincinnati, they've been really good right now. They're in first place of the division. They may make the playoffs. They may not make the playoffs, but we'll kind of put them aside a little bit. And then you look at the wild cards. I'm a big believer in Miami. The one worry with Miami is all that young pitching starting to go into August and September when they're getting close to innings limits. They're already talking about Yuri Perez reducing the amount of starts he makes and things like that. So that's a little bit of a worry. But they obviously have one of the best hitters in the world in Luis Ariz. They've got a young lineup. They've got a decent bullpen. I think there's a chance they have some staying power. And then you've got San Francisco and you got the Dodgers. Look, I know the Dodgers aren't playing necessarily great baseball. They're 9 games above 500. I think they're going to make the playoffs. Then you look outside, the Phillies. I think the Phillies are going to make the playoffs. They're only 2 games out of the wild card here. So if the Phillies jump in, that means somebody has to get knocked out. And it could be San Francisco. And actually, in this case, I think it is San Francisco. Milwaukee and Cincinnati are going to be right there with regards to the division, but the other team could certainly get a wild card. And then you go down a little bit. You see a San Diego team that's 37-43. That's 7.5 games out of a wild card spot right now. They've got the pitching, they've got the hitting. If they ever figure out how to hit with runners in scoring position, they can certainly put themselves in position. And you look at this Giants team, they've got what, 2 or 3 starting pitchers? And then the other days they're going to this bullpen by committee thing. Like the Rays make it work, and so far the Giants have made it work, but I don't trust the Giants lineup. I don't trust their rotation, whatever there is in that rotation, and certainly I don't trust Gabe Kapler, even though he's done good things in San Francisco. So, look, it's a speculation play here, but I'm also trying to get that nice price you talked about here, Dan. And I think the Giants are not going to make the playoffs. I think the Phillies can leapfrog them. I think the Brewers or Reds can leapfrog them. The Padres, if they get hot, can leapfrog them. So give me the Giants not to make the playoffs in the National League.
And anytime us Phillies fans can find a way to say, Gabe Kapler, we still want to rip you, we'll find a way to do it. And I love that plus price as well. And the information sound. That's Matt Josephs. As I mentioned at the top, 9-2 the last 2 days in Major League Baseball. So Matt, when people head on over to your page, I know you're humming with these props in the MLB, but as we mentioned at the top too, CFB is right around the corner, and there is no one more profitable in college football betting than you. So tell the folks about how to ride with you for the season.
Yeah, up over 150 units the last 3 seasons. That's the best on both sites, Wager Talk and Sports Memo. I do a lot of team totals, and I look at a lot of the markets that people don't necessarily look at. First quarter plays, first half plays, things like that. So we try and get creative to find all these wins, and so far it's been working out. And you can go to my page and get a drastic discount for the season if you'd like to join me. I will say with the caveat, make sure your book does have team totals, because it's one of the things we like to bet, and there are some books out there that do not have them. So certainly check that out. But yeah, college football rapidly approaching. My win total articles will start coming out soon for Gold Sheet. Looking forward to all of that. But yeah, baseball until then.
Absolutely. And also make sure you check out the Gold Sheet programming that we've been having. Matt Joseph's a mainstay on that as well, alongside our man Eric Pauly. So make sure you check that out on the channels as well. And don't go away too quick, though, because we got Nick Parsons coming up here in just a moment. And he is on a hot run, not only on the free plays here, but also 9-1 in the last 4 days. But big thanks to Matt Joseph's, sm.buzz/MJ. And I'm telling you, you want to get on like that college football now. One of the few things that I will always just blindly back. It's like Tokyo Brandon's KBO and Matt Joseph's college football. It's the two things guaranteed to be on my betting slate. So make sure you ride alongside him. All right, well, since this game's going in the afternoon, I want to bring in Nick Parsons and get right into it, because we got to get those folks that actionable info right at the top from a man who is running hot. And if the 9-1 last 4 days isn't your thing, how about in the last 55 plays, 36 and 36, and 19? That's a 65% MLB run. So let's talk a little baseball here, man. And Angels coming off the 11-5 loss as they're taking on the White Sox. You think they bounce back today? How are you going to be betting?
Well, Dan, you know me, I'm a contrarian at heart, and this is a very public wager on the Angels here. But hey, just because over 70% of the money is on the Angels, it's not the only thing I look at, when I'm factoring in, when I'm looking at games, et cetera, where the money is. I do take other factors into account, and I've looked at those other factors, and I think that Patrick Sandoval and the Angels are worth the price of admission in this one. LA will look to take 3 of 4 in this series this afternoon. The White Sox, despite that win yesterday, they're still just 15-27 on the road. The Angels, they're 22-17 at home. And yeah, off that 11-5 loss, it's definitely significant to note here. LA is 7-2 in its last 9 in trying to avenge a home loss as a favorite versus an opponent. The starting pitchers, they leave everything to be desired here. I'm not a huge fan of Sandoval or anything. I just think he's the correct call in this particular matchup. And at this price, he's 4-6 with a 4.16 ERA. And the White Sox, Lance Lynn, he's 4-8 with a 6.40 ERA. Now, Lynn, he has had success against the Angels in the past, but, that was then. This is now. Past success guarantees nothing in the future. The fact of the matter is Lynn has not won in his last 5 starts, and basically he's just been hot garbage all season long. Sandoval, he's only been slightly better, but again, I think when you take in the home field advantage, the ATS stat I mentioned earlier, and then along with this really affordable price, I think that LA here in this spot is the way to roll. So that's the way I see this one breaking down.
I love it. A nice bounce back spot. And also, I've been seeing a lot of people out there looking for some potential Ohtani props in this one. So figures that if Ohtani has a pretty good game, probably get this one home as well. He's not messing with the props. He's just saying, give me the money line. Angels bouncing back against the White Sox. And you're not kidding, man, when you talk about being a contrarian by nature, because the next play you want to get into is Boston looking to avoid the sweep against the Marlins. Now, Boston hasn't had much, the Red Sox, to be excited about in this series. They lost the other two games 16-3 combined, but you think it all ends today. Why is that?
That's it. I'm standing in front of the train. I love to do that as well. Just like the previous play, Dan, I'm not a huge fan of either of these starters, but I think there are enough situational and trend-based factors working in favor of Boston today. And then combined, once again, with a really reasonable price, I think the Red Sox are the correct call in this particular matchup. First off, as you mentioned, Boston is trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. I mean, often winning can lead to complacency while losing can, breed motivation. One trend to keep in mind here is that the Red Sox, they're still 7-3 in their last 10 and trying to avenge a home loss as a favorite against an opponent. And it's also 8-4 in its last 12 after 3 or more straight losses in a row. Now, Miami, it's 1-4 in a row, but it has a National League matchup tomorrow at the Braves. And so, yeah, I think this letdown, it's finally coming here. I think the Fish are going to get caught looking ahead to that series. So situationally, as I said, I think it definitely sets up in favor of Boston here. Looking at the starting pitching matchup, you have Jesus Luzardo. He's 6-5 with a 3.77 ERA. Brayan Bello, he's 5-4 with a 3.27 ERA. Pretty even overall, but I'm going to give the slight nod to Bello at home, the home field advantage. And then when you take into account those other situational and trend-based factors, along with that price again, I think Boston is the correct call.
I love it. And also, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a guy who's ending June much better than my man Nick Parsons. We talked about these runs he's doing in the MLB. How about the fact in CFL, little 4-0 week, just a casual 4-0 sweep of the Week 3 CFL board. So it's time to hop on with my man Nick Parsons as he heads on into July and riding that hot streak. Nick, how can people ride with you, brother?
Well, they just got to go check me out over at SportsMemo.com. Guys, you can check me out on all the different leaderboards. You're right, I've completely caught fire here. And yeah, I already have a huge CFL total going. It is my non-conference total of the month. You can pick that up over at SportsMemo. Check out the leaderboards. Check out all the daily MLB plays up there. And let's go get this money, guys.
That is Nick Parsons. And if you go to sportsmemo.com, you can always check yesterday's plays as well. It's not just touting all the winners. Transparency is key to what we do at Sports Memo and Wager Talk. You can see every single play that's loaded, whether it won, whether it lost. So yeah, he's running hot right now. And we're definitely letting you know about that. But you can always see when anyone's slumping as well. We talked to Jesse Shule the other day, and he came on. He said, hey, guys, I've kind of sucked a little bit, but the bounce back is coming. We're all about the transparency here. We're also all about getting you actionable info in 30 minutes or less. It's when I love when I have Matt and Nick on, because we get you actionable info in 15 minutes or less. That's going to do it. We'll see you in July. Big thanks to Eric as well, doing a terrific job behind the scenes. I've been your host, Dan Alexander, and we'll see you next Tuesday, hopefully a little more money in our pocket right here on Sports Memo Today.